All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us. All right, guys. So, welcome to another Buzz Slayers interview, and we are here today with the founding members of Rufus Party, right? Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys. Oh, actually, you know what? I wanted to ask you one of I want to talk about Stone of Madness and all that stuff, and the Nightlight record previously because they're a little bit different from each other, and I could hear the sort of evolution in what you guys are doing, because you guys have records going all the way back 2000,
Yes.
2009, right? Like that was like is that right?
This latest release, which is called the Stone of Madness, it's absolutely different from whatever we recorded before, even Nightlight that you mentioned. It started, I think it was the end of 2019. Like first, like he had a kind of a circular arpeggio, and it all started from there. That was the first sparkle of ideas, of an outpouring of ideas. And unfortunately, then COVID-19 strike, and so we had to do Google Meets like now to exchange ideas and sending each other MP3s and stuff. And we were lucky enough because a good friend of ours, Carlo, which is a producer from Sardinia, helped us glue together certain ideas. And so we have the first bulk of this suite, like an old prog rock thing. So the first movement of the song. And then when the powers that be said, okay, you can go out, end of first lockdown, we rushed to the rehearsal room. And so we started playing and started to layer other ideas and having this new thing, like 14 minutes of song, as you said, it's like 3 songs in one or maybe more. And to test the thing, we had a gig, and because of the fact that this thing was so unusual, didn't know where to put in the set list this song. And so we said, let's do it as an encore. So we did the encore, and as soon as we got off the stage, people started to ask, where could I find this song? And we said, we haven't recorded it yet. So we recorded it. But as you said, this is very different from what we've done in the past, especially the record Nightlight, which is more nocturnal, more soul-y, if you like it. And so this thing was not planned. And we said to each other, this is our version of prog rock. And concern the history of a band, let's talk, Marco. I introduced myself. I'm sorry. I am Alessandro. I play vocal and bass.
Great.
You told me before you told us something about the previous record, which is Nightlight, which is in effect an album. This is something really different. It came out as a single, and we decided also to make a few copy in a 10 inches vinyl, just for collectors. Yeah, something. Yes, we have a fan base which is very linked to our way to explore music and to develop our projects, which is very old-fashioned, very vintage. So we love vintage instruments. We play real stuff, nothing digital. And as you said, on the preview, you talked about something really live. This recording was a live recording, not very just a few overdubs about little things.
He wants to say something.
Oh, okay. So that was something I was very curious about as well, because, all right, first of all, let me jump in and just say, I really, first of all, I enjoyed the Nightlight album a lot. I thought that was a beautiful record. There was a lot of, to me, kind of jazz soul undertones to it. Great guitar work. Everything really came together super well on that record. But Stone of Madness is kind of like more my speed, more my style, because I really like Nightlight. I like all music, I'm a big, I see the vinyl behind you, the vinyl record collection you guys have. Okay. I have a vinyl collection. It's I collect everything though, VHS tapes and vinyl, everything. But when it comes to music, me and my wife, we collect a lot of vinyl. And you know, when I listened to Stone of Madness, you know, it hit me different because it was set up and like you mentioned, different movements almost. And so but you put them all together. It's a 14-minute and 45-second song track, piece of music, whatever you want to call it, right? And so it had such a cool flow to it and so much surprising changes. And to me, it wasn't only prog rock. I mean, you had even kind of surf rock in there there's a lot of guitar tones that lend a hand to surf rock, you know what I mean? Lots of classic rock, obviously, very classic rock influence. But I think that you guys, you know, and there's still psychedelic rock and soul on this one too. It's not just like a heavy prog rock song, you know, piece of music. It ebbs and flows, you know, waves of intensity come in, and then by the end it gets kind of big and then it goes back down, you know. And so I really liked the arrangement and how you guys built it and put it together. Very, very cool. And I think for people that really love progressive prog rock type of music, this is like a mind blower because it's 15 minutes long, you know, and it's kind of gives you everything that you can want from a track like that. So I really loved, but again, I have to reiterate, I really did like Nightlight quite a lot because you guys sent me Stone of Madness and I went backwards. I listened to Stone of Madness, of course, first, and then I went backwards and listened to Nightlight and some of the previous stuff. And I skipped around from there going backwards. And, you know, the first record was released in 2009, but I read up on you guys and technically the band was started in like maybe the late 90s or something like that. Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys perform live a lot when you guys do live shows a lot?
Yeah, we perform a lot, especially in the north of Italy. And it's correct, we started in the late 90s. And but the core of a band is always this, and it's like me, myself, Alessandro, I play bass and I sing. And then we have Marco, which plays guitar and different types of guitar. He's also a steel
yes, because
performer.
we tried also to explore different places of music, also country and psychedelic music, as you said. Love steel guitar and some also folk, more folkish stuff. You should hear the rest of the discography. You will find many surprises because we enjoy to explore always different territories. But the core of our music, I think, is the blues music, soul music.
Soul.
And,
yeah.
It comes from black music,
yeah.
Something that makes us happy. And as I said, also there's a drummer with us, Gianluca. We say hello. And since I guess 2007, we also have an organ player more often than not that plays with us on stage and on the record.
Nice.
Really, so we could be a power trio, but also a quartet. And in this release, there's the four of us. There's also Samuele who plays a very jazzy
Fender Rhodes. You can hear some instruments of the piano.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of keys. There's a lot of key instruments and stuff like that. That thickens the song up, but it's not. You know, that's another thing I enjoyed about it, is that that thickens the song up and brings more atmosphere to the song. To, you know, it you know, makes it expansive, vast. You know, but it's not always there. It comes and goes. You know, and that's the thing with this track, is that it's kind of, you know, kind of an ever-changing track, you know, that hints towards previous pieces at times, but doesn't go all the way there. It's just a really well-built track, and that's the thing. You mentioned earlier, this was the biggest deal to me, was this, and you answered the question, but when I was listening to the song, I said, you know, did these guys go in and like sit down and do this was live record? I mean, this is a live recording, and I think that I picked up on that because when you did the record, and I'm sure, like you mentioned, I'm sure there's overdubs. You go back and you add more stuff. That's what you do with a live recording, and when you're putting out a record, that's normal. But the essence of it, the base of it, the meat of it is a live recording, and so that is something that you can kind of feel the energy exchange between the players on the record. And so when you listen to the song, one of my favorite things ever is listening to a track on record, right? And then knowing that the band's going to be really good to see live. Is that something that you guys commonly, like for Nightlight, did you guys record live, or is that different? Was that different?
I might add that one key aspect, one difference between a record like Nightlight and this standalone single, is that Stone of Madness comes from jamming, and instead Nightlight, it's more like structured songs, started maybe from demos and stuff. So as you said, we played the whole thing live in the studio. We just stopped between the two movements, and there's pretty much no overdubs. It was like maybe 2 takes, and we just did some overdubs at the beginning of the intro with an old fashioned echo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know if you see it, but
you can see there's an old Benson echo rack, like a tape delay from the 60s.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
What used in I don't know, like
I think also in the first albums with Sid Barrett, it was using that kind of
very psychedelic.
One thing I should say about the Stone of Madness, we usually jam live. We also made songs that gave us the possibility when we are on stage to make live jam improvising. With the Stone of Madness, we put on record something that is more close to the jamming live dimension, and it was a good challenge to put it on stage and look at the people reaction when they realized that this was one single song and not just a jam. And this is mainly the reason why we decided to put on a record and release a single, which is out of our our comfort zone.
Well, I'm glad you did it. I mean, I also think it's interesting now. I'm getting more of an idea of how it came together. So in reality, you had the ideas and you sent them back and forth, but then you've completed writing the song in the studio together. It came from jamming. So you had some of the pieces together, and then when you guys finally were able to get together physically in a room, that's when it opened up and started actually kind of blossoming into what it became. And that's also, and I understand totally what you said earlier, is that, Nightlight and a lot of the other stuff came from songs you wrote, written arrangements that were written, and this grew on, in a different nature, it grew a different way. Maybe that's why it kind of feels the way it does. Are you guys is there anything coming up next? You guys working on anything?
Yeah, we have like maybe 10 or 12 songs that we're working on at the moment, and as usual, we have a certain direction, like somber numbers, like maybe more acoustic, more active, and then we have something more, I don't know, bizarre, weird.
Yes, there are many experiments. We are trying to give a sort of cohesion between these many ideas, and like we did in the past, maybe we will try to explore, to follow different paths. Maybe we will release more records, as we did in the past. We made something like Light, which is more acoustic with a piano, grand piano, and the previous albums were definitely electric and power trio based. So maybe the future will be sort of new albums, brief albums with different directions.
Flavors,
yes.
Flavors and directions either way. That's definitely and what is it? Let me hijacked to Fogville. That was the first. So I went back and I listened to some of that too. I just jumped around to have fun with it because for me, when you find a band that's really cool, you really like, and you go back and you go, oh my gosh, look at all the records they put out. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't always happen. Sometimes, I could listen to Stone of Madness and go back, oh, they only have one record before this. Cool, I'll listen to Nightlight and that's it. You guys have like a whole bunch of releases. So for me, it's kind of fun to, listen to some of the evolution of the band. You know what I mean? And on that note, I actually wanted to ask you, and you guys can answer this separately if you want to. This is a question I ask everybody that I interview. Not everyone enjoys the question. I'm going to put that out there right now because it's not easy. Okay. Marco's like, wait a second. So, my question, and again, you can answer separately. If I were to ask you each what your top five musical influences of all time were, Marco, you go first. What would you say your top five? And this doesn't have to be like, guitar players, or it could be records that your mom played when you were a kid, or whatever. What do you feel like really influenced you to even start your musical journey? Bands, artists.
Well, definitely, I should say the Pink Floyd from the 70s, which was something that my father was listening to, and so this was definitely the first great band that I knew. When I was a young guy, I think the Red Hot Chili Peppers of the Blood Sugar Sex Magic was for that Frusciante.
John Frusciante, yeah.
Very Hendrix, but more modern, more fascinating for a kid.
Yeah,
that's the grunge era, but I was really in love with the music of the 70s. So that was a very good melt between my influences of that period. Another hero for me is definitely Lou Reed. Reed should.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songwriting in the Rufus Party. Our stuff is rock stuff, is jam stuff, but is also there are songs. The lyrics are very important. Alessandro writes these songs. We started as a band which had songs in Italian. Then we converted into an English spoken rock. But yes, I think an author like Lou Reed is very important as a rock musician.
I agree.
For me, as a lover of jamming, is the entire work of Miles Davis. I think he's another.
There it is. See, here's the thing: is I could hear the classic rock up, down, left, and right. So when you say Floyd, I'm not too surprised at that. Okay, I too was introduced to Floyd at a very young age, so I'm a big jazz fan. Billie Holiday, Miles Davis, all that stuff. So that's and of course Chili Peppers in the 70s rock. Like that's all to me. Chili Peppers is not really classic rock to me, nor is it to you really. But I see how the Chili Peppers, like guitarists like John Frusciante, were influenced by classic rock type stuff as well. And I get what you're saying with the Hendrix thing, but like more youthful, so.
No, that's the reference to my youth, mainly, because this band was born when we were in our 20s. So that is to specify that these adventures, this adventure of our band comes from the past when we were kids. So this is important. The last name, because there were 5. It should be something linked to the soul music, because we are very very close to this feeling. And I would say one album, for example, What's Going On of Marvin Gaye should
there you go.
An album of songs, like should be one of our album, like Night Lights, but is very representative of what soul is.
Yeah, for sure. Very powerful singer, always classic stuff. All right, Alessandro, what about you?
Well, I don't know if I have to give you my personals, but I'd like to throw in very randomly other names linked to the story of the band. One name that but absolutely is John Spencer. You know, John Spencer Blues Explosion. I don't know if you know them. Responsible for the brand. You know, the name of the band, Rufus Park, comes because one fateful evening in which we have to decide whether name we had to use for the band. We were having a conversation about this record that came out during the mid-90s.
Now I Got Worried.
Now I Got Worried by the John Spencer Explosion. And there was a featuring on that record by Rufus Thomas, the great R&B artist that we all like. And so we were talking about that, and Marcus suggested, why don't we call ourselves the Rufus Party? You know, this just expositions of two words that really stand together very well, because everyone liked it. So it stuck from then. And John Spencer is definitely a huge influence, especially at the beginning of the band. We were very much into that, trying to collide punk rock and blues. Yeah, like as a bass player, I should say Joy Division were absolutely the band that changed my life.
Absolutely.
Because Peter Hook from that band used to play very simple but absolutely captivating bass lines.
It stuck in your head. The bass line stuck with you, man. That's Joy Division was an amazing band. Yeah. And
that tone of the bass I used to, I imitate, especially at the beginning. So I have to throw in like that. Absolutely, for myself as Marco and all together in the band, also Gianluca, we love soul music. So I have to, throw in another big name. I'd say Curtis Mayfield.
Good one.
Yeah, it's someone that lyrically and even as a guitar player is a god. And he said Marvin Gaye, but I have to put in someone else. And also we are
he's matching your choices.
We influenced each other, and we are very open-minded. There's virtually no genre that we say we don't like. As you can see, he has this incredible record collection, and 1, 2, and very recently an influence for us in the band. Maybe you don't hear it here and there, but we love a lot of hip hop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went to see Nas.
But yes, we are very in love with the legendary hip hop from the 90s.
You guys went to a Nas. How long have you guys been friends?
More
than 30 years.
Yeah.
More than 30 years.
Just 2 more names. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to put in Prince.
Ooh, good one.
And also a Norwegian band called Motorcycle.
From Norway.
Yeah.
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle is a band from Norway. They're very. I think you should listen to them. You would love them.
Yeah.
Motorcycle,
like the Russ Meyer film. And they're very proggy right now, but they did everything in their career. And that was very influential for Rufus Parties in being open-minded and throwing in different genres of music. So we are definitely inspired. Like many other bands in Italy, I would say, are influenced by this Norwegian combo.
Where you guys are, especially, is there like, kind of like a live music scene? Is there, what is that like? Is there, kind of a circuit that you hit? Do you play? How often do you guys play live shows? And when you do play live shows, do you get to play a live show on a Wednesday night and there's people there? What kind of place is it in terms of live music?
When we formed, they used to say that the place that we're from, North Italy, Reggio Emilia, close to Bologna. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
So it's very different from Sicily. In Sicily, sunny and warm. Here is unfortunately
it's very foggy,
cold and foggy.
right
at the moment. And but when we started, they used to say that our own town was like a little Seattle.
Oh,
yeah. Even the story of our band tells you this, because the Seattle scene was very like I don't know to define, you know, incestuous. Like I need a drummer, let's call the drummer from that band. I need a guitar player. So, you know, and
there was a lot of like alliance,
yeah.
like
everyone was helping each other, and
yes,
there was actually a scene
cooperation, like
yeah.
a cooperation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even our band started like this pretty much. And yeah, right now, unfortunately, it's not the same scenario. But it's like there's a bunch of survivors, and we're part of this scene, you know, in which the old guys are still doing it, and whoever managed to stay alive after so many years.
Are there younger bands? Are there younger bands that are out there doing it too?
Not so much. Not so much. I think that, well, we are part of the underground. So even if we play from a lot of years, and this give us the possibility also to remain in contact with the younger people.
Yeah,
and this is a very, very good thing. But I don't feel like the younger guy are so motivated to follow the path of the oldest, because I don't know, maybe that's the main reason why is the web. I don't know, people prefer to stay online that find with other guys to play and have a band. I don't know. This is my perception. Even live music is not so alive like in the past.
So let's talk about the stuff that you're working on upcoming. You know, you mentioned that you maybe 10 songs or so, something like that you're working on. And now how do you guys, you showed me some stuff up on the shelf there, made me curious to know how you guys record some of your stuff. Do you guys go into like a bigger studio, or do you have a home studio that you work with to do? And if so, do you use the home studio just for scratch tracks, or how does that work?
Well, for instance, when we recorded Nightlight, the studio was absolutely a key element, because we got in there and there's this whole environment, which is like an old, I don't know if you saw that movie concerning the Rolling Stones called 1+1. They recorded the famous song Sympathy for the Devil, and
right.
it's in the Olympic Studios in London. And
Godard.
Yeah, it's
a Jean-Luc Godard film.
Yeah,
it was like a documentary of the recording of the album. So it's like a real studio. And that studio, which is in Parma, located in Parma.
With Andrea Robacchi, which is our historical producer, he kind of designed that studio like that thing, you know, the Olympic Studios in London. And when you go there, there's this huge coda piano. So when we saw that piano, we said, we should have that piano in every song. So it wasn't a thing that we planned beforehand. You know, we just had demos, and we had an idea of how this album could, you know, become. But when we saw the piano, we said we should have the piano in every song, and it pretty much like happened that way.
Because when we started working on Nightlight, as I said, it was the part two of two small albums project. The first one was an electric one, and this was a ballads album.
Right.
And so for the ballads, we had that piano in the studio, and we said, let's make it all on the piano.
So that changed the game. That changed the, you know, if you didn't walk into that studio, maybe different. What you may have a completely different outcome if you didn't walk in and see that piano.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Yeah, you know, I'm always curious, and you must have some kind of home thing for scratch tracks. Otherwise, you know, during COVID, how would you be able to, you know, have these ideas that you send to each other? So you got to have some kind of home even a little thing. You know, some people, you know, just do things in their phone. Some people have a little iMac or whatever. Do you guys have something like that you work with for scratch stuff?
Yeah, we have. You know, I used to have an old 4-track recorder, the Foster.
I love those.
Famous. I'm not using that anymore for ideas. I use my iPhone absolutely and my computer. But also, I think that our workshop is the place in which we rehearse, which it's called the Baita, like an old shed.
Like it's like a hut. No, I would say it's like a very old.
It's an old staple. Yeah,
an old stable. Yes, an old stable, which is
it's an old country house converted into.
That's awesome.
In the fields, very far from the city center.
And it's, I mean, I don't know if you know the famous music from Big Pink, the band, you know, the band that used to back Bob Dylan.
The band.
Oh, okay.
The Last Waltz, the band, you know.
The band that they did music for
from Big Pink.
Big Pink. Big Pink was the house in which they used to rehearse, and that because it's all painted in pink outside.
Oh, okay.
Much the same for us. There's this old country house painted in pink, and that's the place in which we rehearse. And all the demos that we do, you know, for instance, this last one, standalone single, "The Stone of Madness," all the 14 minutes were ideas glued from taping with the iPhone every rehearsal. Right.
Right. Oh wow. Wow.
So we taped one, then we came home, and then we, you know, pierced with the computer every idea.
So you don't have to, you know. So when you guys get together and you get into your pink room, your pink hut, right? You're you're not thinking about this or that. You're not thinking about problems or issues or worries or struggles or stress. You're just all you give a shit about is what you're doing in that moment, is making the music, and that, to me, that's like the way that you describe it, the way that I picture it after you describe it, is feels like it's like therapeutic for a grown adult to have. You know, like you need that. You know, so
there's always a special moment when the three of us get together in that place. And most of the time we say, if only we were that good, like in Big House on stage, because lots of magic moments happen there. And as you said, it's like absolutely therapeutic. It's a way of escaping the routine, the 7 days work. You know, when there, all the bullshit go out the window, and we are very, very happy making music. And that's the reason why the band is still around after so many years, because we love play together, and
we love play our stuff because we have our
creative
stuff. Yes, we have our dimension, we have our music, we are very linked to a code, like a code which is common to us, and as a trio is like a very familiar zone, very comfortable, very
it's comfort zone,
an happy place. And also the keyboard player is has found this dimension, and is the only person that can play with us. I think. Yes,
that's cool. It's good. It's good. I'm glad that you guys have been doing this together for so long. You know, it's just something that makes you feel good. It's like, cool, you can do it. You can do it. You can do this for, you can be friends for 30 years and write music for, most of that time.
But also the people that come to see us can perceive that vibe, that the thing that we're very close, and what we project is really, our creativity, and that vibe goes through the audience, when we play.
Yeah.
And so they see us like a unit.
I like stories like this, because it's a long time story. It's a long lasting story. And you guys are like just putting out stuff that you're just expanding all the time. What do you think about the next record? Is that going to be this year?
We hope so. At least one of the two directions that we will take will end in releasing new stuff. I don't know if we're going to put out the more introverted songs before, or the happy, the upbeat one.
We're gonna make it. I hope it definitely before the end of this year, because this material is very ready to came out, and we want to give form to this stuff. We just have to decide which will be our partner in production, and if we want to to follow a producer on or produce the music by ourselves.
Right.
And the method of recording, as you asked before, we worked with many people. We have historical partners, and we are technicians. We are very reliable, as you can see. So young guys that have good ideas and fresh ideas to help us to see our music in a different perspective. So we're gonna feel these different energies and make the good decision to give to this music the right shape, the right you say right flavor.
Yeah, but that was different, because if you have a producer, the producer could say, "Don't do that. Do that thing instead." And a young guy, as you said, maybe a sound technician, he just plays playing a record, So and you do your own.
You're more free, I think. The producer usually would say that bass is too strange. Make a regular bass. This can be the problem of recording stuff with more expert people. And people is more crazy or more less expert and young. There's something different. More magic. I don't know magic, but it's different. It's different. It's a good challenge.
I agree. I think maybe a younger producer that is feels more open to being more experimental, and maybe gets you need to find someone that gets your vibe, that gets what you're trying to do. And I think that's the most important thing is, and sometimes maybe older producers maybe set in their ways and have kind of a one track, but what they should do is listen to some of your previous stuff maybe, and then you guys can explain what you're kind of doing with this record. But you know what you're doing better than me. The point is, I'm hoping that it comes out this year. I would be looking forward to that. And so but in the meantime, though, Stone and Madness is out now. Everyone can go listen to that. There's a whole bunch of records out. Nightlight is the one previous from 2022, but you guys have records going back to 2009 on Spotify. There's a bunch of stuff there. So Marco and Alessandro, thank you guys both for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been an excellent, wonderful chat, wonderful interview, wonderful meeting you guys.